So be mindful of the recording, y'all. Please keep your mics muted. Use the chat. Keep your mics muted. Use the chat, please. And we're going to start off with a staff introduction. And since I'm already speaking, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Jay Hockley. I am the community organizer with IJ Action. It's such a pleasure to be here. So happy to be in space with y'all. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Emiliano.
Hi, all. My name is Emiliano. My pronouns are he, him. I am the data and communications manager. And I'll pass it over to Taina.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time sharing my screen and finding the unmute button at the same time. But hey, everybody, my name is Taina Vargas. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the founder and executive director of Initiate Justice Action. And I believe that I also saw Amy on here. So Amy, I will pass it to you.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. I'm Amy Smith. I'm a professor at San Francisco State, and I'm super honored to be a board member with IJ Action. My husband is serving a 25 to life sentence right now in California. And I'm not sure, let's see, I think Emiliano, I'm not sure what other board members are on the call.
Roberto is here.
Awesome. How about if I pass to Roberto? Thanks, Jay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roberto Ramirez. I am an IJ board member as well. I'm looking forward to making these moves, make some things happen. So welcome, everybody. And it's most definitely an honor to be in this spot.
Thank you, Roberto. If there's any other board members on the call, please unmute, introduce. We're gonna go ahead and pass it back to Taina for some housekeeping.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jay. And also shout out to some of, there's some Initiate Justice staff who's here in the room as well. I saw Adam, Antoinette, Daisy, Crystal, Lee, Efrain. Lots of the team showed up in support and solidarity. So thanks y'all for being here as well. So like Jay said, welcome. This is our first ever Initiate Justice Action general meeting, and we are going to be having these every month, the first Tuesday of the month from 6:30 to 7:30. So please, continue to tune in so that you can stay updated on the campaigns that we're working on and the different ways that you can get involved. Later on in this meeting, we're going to be talking more about what it means to become a member of Initiate Justice Action and to join our action committees. So orientations for new members will take place on the second Tuesday of the month, same time, 6:30 to 7:30. And then our membership and outreach committee is scheduled for the third Tuesday of the month, 6:30 to 7:30. And then we have two other committees that are going to be launching later on as well. And all the committees will be launching in May. So just FYI, this is something that's going to be a monthly occurrence. So if you like what you see, come back. All right, so I'm gonna start off our meeting with just like a quick check-in question, and if y'all could respond in the chat. But for all of us, but especially those of us who have been directly impacted by incarceration, there's lots of ways that policy has impacted your life. So the check-in question is, how has policy affected your life? Can you think of a specific bill, a ballot measure, something that either like benefited you or harmed you in some way, or an action of a particular elected official that had a decision on your life one way or the other? There's some examples here like Prop 47, Prop 57, the 3 strikes law, which passed in 1994. Okay, so Megan said Prop 57 has impacted her life. Thank you, Megan. I know, yeah, Prop 57 has impacted lots of folks who are inside. Prop 17, Jay, yep, restoring voting rights to folks on parole. What else? How else have policies? Yep, parole, which is an institution that is set up by the state, is governed by the state governor and the legislature. Special circumstances. Nancy O'Malley's the DA of Alameda County. Prop 17. Yeah, AB 1509. Yep, potential legislation that could have helped folks. Yep, enhancements. Yep. Yeah, lots of bills that have impacted our lives one way or the other. And the reason that I asked that question is, like, I want us to be thinking about like why it's important for us to be doing the political advocacy that we're doing, right? When we get officials elected into office, they have a lot of power. They have the ability to decide which bills are going to move forward, which bills are going, to be killed or to be vetoed. And they, have a lot of say so in terms of like what the narrative is around justice reform and public safety. So when people like us, people who are impacted by incarceration and allies work on legislation, we have really positive outcomes. When we fight, we win. So policies that we have, that our movement, IJ Action, and many other organizations in this movement have worked to put laws in place, such as Prop 17, restoring voting rights, protecting vulnerable folks, helping people get released from prison, protecting programs that we've had to fight hard for. And then at the same time, we have the opposition that we're fighting against. So, law enforcement agencies and organizations that are working hard to increase punishment, to support policies that are racist in nature, policies that perpetuate violence, and at the end of the day, do not make us any safer and do not actually reduce any harm. And that's why it's so important for us to vote. And it's really important for us to focus on this conversation in the context of Proposition 17. I think most folks know, but for those of y'all who don't, Prop 17 is a ballot measure that Initiate Justice and Initiate Justice Action led, that passed in 2020 and restored voting rights to all people on parole in the state of California. So that means California is now the 20th state where as soon as you're released from prison, your voting rights are automatically restored. And this is huge for so many reasons, but mostly because people who are impacted by incarceration have largely been left out of the political conversation. If our votes didn't matter, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to prevent us from voting. And there's so many reasons, there's so many offices that we have the ability to vote for, that, and these individuals have a say in those policies that we were talking about. And who these people are has a real material impact on our daily lives. So some examples of the offices that we vote for include the district attorney, mayor, sheriffs, judges, governor, local offices such as city council and the school board, state, such as our state senators and state assembly members, and even all the way up to the federal level, Congress and the president and all of that. So our vote matters, and these people who are running for office should be accountable to us, to system impacted people and allies who see these issues as important and understand firsthand how failed policies can harm us. For too long, elected officials have been listening to the wrong experts on public safety. They've been listening to law enforcement. They've been falling prey to fear-mongering politics. So what we're trying to do at IJ Action is change that. So our mission at Initiate Justice Action is to mobilize the power of people impacted by incarceration to advance progressive policies in California. So what that means is that we are organizing people who are in prison, formerly incarcerated people, and people with incarcerated loved ones to do a few things. One, voter registration and outreach. Now that Prop 17 passed, we need to make sure that everybody knows that they have the right to vote. Even, people who are on probation or have really old felonies might think that they don't have the right to vote because there's so much misinformation out there. So what we want to do at IJ Action is target system impacted people, let them know they have the right to vote, and make sure that they're registered. And not only do they need to register, we're going to be writing voter guides to make sure that people, have an understanding of like who to vote for. It's one thing to be like registered and, to get the voter guide in the mail from your county registrar office, but we want to create a voter guide that is written by people who are impacted by incarceration so that folks know exactly what to look for. We'll be doing research on candidates to find out things like, do they take money from law enforcement? What are their positions on certain public safety issues? Do they support giving more money to the police or increasing incarceration? So keep an eye out next month. IJ Action's board and staff have been working really hard on a voter guide, and we're going to release, I think, the first ever voter guide in California that was completely developed by system impacted folks. Another thing we want to do at IJ Action is endorse candidates and oppose candidates. When folks are running for office, they seek out endorsements like approval from organizations because they want to show, maybe an environmental group or a labor group supports me. Therefore, if these groups support me, then maybe I might get more votes. So at IJ Action, we want to present system impacted people as a voting bloc that candidates should be caring for. So for the general election in November, we're going to be rolling out an endorsement process, and we will officially be endorsing and formally opposing candidates running for state office. And overall, the goal is to change the political power dynamic in California. As I mentioned previously, it's been too long that our voices have been silenced, that our experience has not been centered and prioritized in, influencing candidates who are going to be creating public safety legislation. We need to make sure that they know what we know. So it's going to be our responsibility to make sure that they listen to us in the electoral process. And just to clarify, what's the difference between initiate justice and initiate justice action, right? Why am I talking so much about candidates and politics and elections? Well, this is why. There are certain restrictions for Initiate Justice, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And the 501c3, it's just the different tax designation under the IRS. So Initiate Justice as a 501c3 has certain limitations. They cannot endorse candidates. They cannot oppose candidates. They can work on bills and lobbying, but there's limits on how much lobbying they're allowed to do. And they can't be partisan in any way. Can't weigh in one way or the other on any candidate race. For Initiate Justice Action, we're a 501c4 organization. So we have a little bit more flexibility here. We can endorse and oppose political candidates. We can work on political campaigns or legislation that falls within our political ideals. And there's no restrictions on lobbying. So we're allowed to do as much lobbying for bills as we want. And a reason that a lot of entities don't form 501c4 organizations is because it's harder to fundraise for a 501c4 for a lot of technical reasons that I won't even get into. So, that keeps a lot of grassroots organizations out of political and electoral work. So what we're trying to do at IJ Action is break into this field and say, yes, people who are impacted by incarceration deserve to have a seat at the table, deserve to be seen as a political powerhouse. So I'm going to pass it in a moment to Jay, who's going to talk more about how you can join IJ Action and how you can become a member of IJ Action. But before I do that, I wanted to see if there were any questions about any of the technical things that I talked about at IJ Action.
I see there's a question in the chat from, oh, I lost it. It's from Megan, who asks if the voter guide will be ready in time for the LA mayor's run.
Yes, absolutely. So some dates, the California primary election is on June 7th, and ballots are going to be mailed out to people about a month before that. So we're aiming to get our voter guide out at around the same time that everybody's vote by mail ballots are going out. So the goal is to have the voter guide out about a month before the June primary, which includes the mayor's race.
There's another question. I'm sorry, from Crash, and it says, how do we enforce bills that we pass or endorse?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question and probably warrants a much longer response than what I'm going to be able to give. But there's a lot of different ways. I can give a quick example for what IJ is doing right now for a bill that we passed last year, AB 292, which is the Access to Programming Act. That bill was supposed to remove barriers so that people inside had more access to programs. But unsurprisingly, CDCR is dragging their feet. And we've been hearing a lot from folks inside that they actually don't have more access to programs. So something that we did is we created a survey and mailed it in to our inside organizers with the support of our inside team, Lee, Adam, Crystal, and Efrain. And we got just over 1,000 responses back in the course of about a month and a half. And our volunteers analyzed the data, and we're presenting it to the bill's author, Assemblymember Stone, and he will be presenting it to CDCR to prove what we already know: the CDCR isn't doing what they're supposed to do. There's other ways bills are implemented, like in the regulations process. There's another bill that we worked on 3 years ago, AB 965, where they're just now writing the regulations to implement it. So we're mobilizing people to get involved in the regulations process. So lots of different ways to stay involved. But something that's unique about a C4 organization is that we can hold candidates and elected officials accountable in a different way because they're depending on us more to get elected or to get reelected. Sorry, that was a short response to something that I could talk for days about.
Are there any more questions? We have a few minutes. We have time to take at least one more.
Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Okay,
So we
great.
make sure we can get into it.
Absolutely. So, so I know a lot of y'all have heard the wonderful examples and outlines that Taina has laid out with great examples. So I'm sure a lot of y'all are wondering, how do I become a member of IJ Action? As this is, of course, our membership launch. And so what I've done is, laid out some things, and we're going to take y'all through the steps to make y'all official IJ Action members. So some of you may be asking, why membership? And the answers to those questions are because membership is unity. As members, we are united decision makers. So it's not just a figurehead making all the decisions and dictating to everyone what we do. It's similar to framework what we've seen at IJ, where it's a collective making decisions that best fits the needs of people directly impacted by incarceration through an intersectional abolitionist lens. So we will be, unifying under a membership banner to further push our policies, the policies that we know best serve us, no conversations that people can have about us without us at the table. Another question would be, because membership is investment. As members, we are all vested in IJA and its organizational activities. So when you become a member, it's not just, hey, I'm a member. You just say it as a talking point. It's an actual investment into the organization. It's an investment into what we do. It's the organization investing into you. And there's some give-gets there between members and the organization. There would be skills that's learned. There would be opportunities. There would be growth. And there would be, of course, empowerment. Another reason, because membership is community. So similar to the framework at IJ, IJA is a community. It's a community of like-minded people with common interests. So we're all, impacted, directly impacted, or allies. And we will all be working toward common interests, which is safer communities, better schools, mental health. Some of the things that we see is housing for all, just basic human necessities instead of incarceration, punishment, and degradation of human beings. Another reason why membership is because membership is commitment. So as an organization, we're committing ourselves to a fight to reduce the marginalizations of people. And as members, you all will be committing yourself to the organization to help us push those policies, as well as to our commitment to the organization, as well as the commitment of the organization to you. And then why membership? Because membership is strength in numbers. As we can see with countless other organizations, which I've outlined a few at the bottom. For instance, ACLU, the California Correctional Peace Officers Association, the California Statewide Law Enforcement Association, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the DA's Association, other member-based organization groups that leverage their voting power to get what they want accomplished. We have to be willing to build a community and to have the commitment within the membership structure to be able to leverage our votes to be able to see the non-reformist reforms and abolitionist practices that we want. To see a place where teachers aren't struggling to pay all of their money out their pocket in order to educate our students, and cops running around with all type of equipment and systems of harm that they don't need to perpetuate against citizens. And another, it's organized action. Of course, we know with membership comes organized action, meaning that we all move together, we all act together. When we set our mind to do something, we accomplish it. And when we vote for an end to the oppression. We don't vote to remanage the oppression or to redirect it or to reframe it. We vote to end it. And so those are some of the examples why we are a membership-based organization. And so our membership structures here at IJ Action, we have active members, and an active member is someone who've paid annual dues. We do not exclude members based upon the ability to pay. So that's important to note. As Taina mentioned, it's hard to fundraise for 501c4s, but we do accept dues from those who are able to pay and those who have the capacity to pay something. We have different amounts that the member themselves choose how much they contribute. Okay, so you paid dues. Active member also completes new member orientation. They sign a membership pledge, which basically in the pledge dictates that they will not miss more than 3 meetings in a calendar year, and also that you conform to the abolitionist lens and to the intersectional values of the organization. Active member also regularly attends general meetings, and they join committees. So as an active member, you're basically, committing yourself fully to the organization in the sense that, you will be an active participant in all of the major events and subcommittees that takes place. Now, we understand that everyone has a life, and, we're not asking anyone to take on an extra job or anything else like that. We're just asking for the commitment for the movement, the same that we would any other movement or any type of commitment that's due for this space as far as pressing our values. Also, we have supportive members, and the supportive member have paid annual dues and is added to our email list. And so basically, we at IJA encourage everyone to be involved as active members, but we understand that some people only have capacity to be supportive members. And so some of us, may have, a capacity to do data entry, to do outreach, to, do a multitude of things. And there may be others who just like, hey, I'm in graduate school, I'm a parent, I got all this stuff going on, and this, I still support the movement. I understand what we're trying to accomplish, but I just only able to do this portion, and that's cool. We understand that, but we do highly encourage and hope that everyone would take on the active member role. But at the end of the day, it's all to that person's capacity. And so the committees that we have, of course, is membership and outreach, which is chaired by myself, Jay. And in the membership and outreach committee, we are responsible for member recruitment. We are responsible for policy actions and community engagement details, such as reentry lists, tabling events at, certain outreaches or, fundraisers or things that's taking place. We also do voter outreach and registration. So like showing up to PAC meetings or halls or dances, things that takes place where it might be a lot of impacted people, and looking to get more people registered. And then I'll pass it to Emiliano to cover communications and fundraising.
Hey, y'all, how you doing? So the communications and fundraising committee is going to be basically like, capturing what happens at different events. Being a social media ambassador and letting people know, what kind of outreach we're doing, who we're contacting, how many, what our reach is, and in that, we're gonna also participate in a lot of fundraising, just to build our network. And with that, I'll pass it over to Taina.
Thanks, Emiliano. And I just have to say, I don't know what happened with this red line on the screen. I did it on accident. I don't know how to undo it. So I'm sorry if it's distracting. I apologize. So yes, the third committee that we will have open to IJ Action members is the Political Action Committee, and I'm very excited about this one. So the Political Action Committee will be the group of folks who actually votes on endorsing candidates. So when we get to that process and we start like interviewing candidates and sending them questionnaires and, you know, putting the tough questions to them to make them, like, you know, fight for our support, the Political Action Committee will be the ones actually voting on that. The Political Action Committee will also be the group that decides which, or that recommends which pieces of legislation we support or oppose. And now I will say for the Political Action Committee, we want to make sure that we do this right. Oh, and thank you, Antoinette, for erasing that red line. Thank you. I didn't know what I was doing. So we want to make sure that we do it right. So we're going to be working with consultants and attorneys to put together like a really strong like endorsement process. So it's probably going to take a little bit of time for us to launch the PAC, probably after the June primaries, because we won't be formally endorsing any candidates until the November general election. And this committee will also be appointed, members to this committee will be appointed by our board of directors, and this will probably be the only committee where we have like a limited number of folks on there. But yeah, membership and outreach committee will be launching next month in May. PAC, if you're interested in that, make sure that you stay tuned. That's going to take a little bit more time for us to make sure we have it ready.
Yes, that part. Thanks, Taina. Yeah, so stay tuned for that PAC committee, as well as all the other committees, because that's where we're going to be doing our damage at, and our ops are not going to be happy. You know, they won't be able to control the narratives anymore because we're leveraging all of our power. Okay, so steps to becoming an IJ Action member. You would fill out your application. You would pay your membership dues using the link in the application. You would complete new member orientation, attend general meetings, join the committee, and sign your membership pledge. So, you know, it's pretty straightforward, but at the same time, we're always here to help and help members complete the steps. Also, too, you'll be reminded of steps. You know, once you fill out your application, you'll be sent the confirmation, you know, with a link to orientation. With the link to orientation. And, you know, on the application as well, you will select the committees that you're interested in. And eventually you'll get an email with a link to your pledge to sign. And like I said, I mean, don't be dismayed about like this process. It's a simple process, and we're gonna, you know, be here. And the pledge is not anything that's like crazy or nothing like that. It's just agreeing to attend meetings and to also, you know, abide by the intersectional values of the organization. And to become a supportive member, you would pay your dues and participate when you can. So as we said, you know, we highly encourage everyone to be active members, because active membership is what's going to really help us to grow, to build power, and to reduce and eventually end the marginalization and oppression that people face. But we understand that everyone doesn't have capacity currently. And some of our members may have, you know, more of a financial capacity than anything else. And, you know, we accept that help as well. So those are some steps. So when you fill out your membership application and you click the link to contribute, if you are capable, this is what you'll see. I filled out one earlier today, and it's pretty simple. You select the amount that you can contribute, and the amounts that we have listed are 10, 25, 50, 100, 250, or other. And once again, we're not, you know, making the minimum or maximum amount. It's completely up to you if you have the capacity. Also, keep in mind, there is a zero option. It's the first option there. And that's for our members who don't have financial capacity. On your application, you would mark that you do not have the capacity, and you would skip this step. So, you know, once again, I mean, I know that this is something that is a little different. However, it's important to know that in most 501c4s, that those C4s are usually member funded. And that's why you see like the CCOPAs that are so powerful, because every year their members have to contribute an amount, I believe it's under $400 legally. And so they have to contribute a certain amount. I think this past year we researched it was like 280. And so they're getting 280 from, 40,000 members, they get $9 million a year easy, so it's part of the process. And like we said, we understand that our members may not be in a position, and we understand that we're never going to deny membership to someone who doesn't have the ability. So we want to make that abundantly clear. And we're going to continue to fundraise, we're going to continue to build, and we're going to continue to work to leverage all of our power and our votes. And we need y'all to understand that and know that this is a community, and the community is here to support.
Thanks, Jay. And there was a couple of questions that popped up in the chat, so I want to go ahead and just address them. So like Jay said, the amount for the membership is totally up to you. If what you can afford is $0, great. If what you can afford is $250, great. If what you can afford is $1,000, that is great too. It's whatever it is that feels good to you. But there was a question about whether or not you can make the donations monthly and whether or not this is an annual requirement for membership. So the answer is yes, there is an option for you to make this a monthly recurring donation if you want to. However, for our membership, the only thing that we're asking for is that you make one call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. I should have said I also have David Cruz here.
You're muted, Tina.
Sorry. Yeah, I have David Cruz who's calling. He's our board member who's calling in from CMC. So excuse the global Tellink lady interrupting me right now. He's listening in. But yes, you can, the membership dues are annual. We only ask that you pay it once a month. I'm sorry, I'm confusing y'all. Once a year. But if you want to make monthly contributions, you are definitely allowed to do that. And Crispy, I also see your question about the maximum that you can contribute annually. Let me talk to our lawyers about that, because I know that there are maximum amounts for PACs and for candidates directly. So I don't want to give you an incorrect number. I think that there might be a maximum, but let me touch base with our attorneys to make sure I'm not doing anything that's out of compliance for us. But thank you for that question.
Yeah, and so like I said, we want to be abundantly clear that on this donation portion, that there is a zero option, and there's other options for people who are capable. So it's completely up to you. If you don't have the capacity, that's fine. We will never deny membership. We're an intersectional abolitionist group who's moving to further progressive values and reduce and eventually eliminate all marginalizations.
And there was another question that Daisy just put in the chat, asking if people want to join right away, but want to donate later, can they do that? Absolutely. You can donate anytime. We will always welcome funds. But if at this point, you want to sign up to become a member, no problem. You can just select $0 on the membership application, and then you can contribute at any point.
So yeah, so this is what you will see when you fill out your application. If you are able to contribute, and you click the link, and once again, you can select any option you want. This is one time a year, and it's for membership, as you see at the top.
I'm sorry, Jay. I think it's easier for me to just verbally respond to the questions instead of trying to keep up with the chat. So I see Christopher Washington. Hey, Chris. Asked the question, can you donate towards other members' membership? Yep, I said that correctly. Yes, you can. But honestly, we're not going to separate the donations, like this one's for me, this one's for another member. If, whatever you contribute, whatever you have the ability to contribute, will offset, the folks who are not able to contribute anything at all, or folks who are only able to contribute smaller amounts. So yeah, we're not going to be tracking it specifically, but any donations are welcome, and we'll definitely be supporting other folks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tanya. So we'll move to the next slide. So This is the part y'all all been waiting for, and that's the calls to action. As you can see, my boy Emiliano right there. You can see the commander-in-chief, Taina, with the IJ swag on, the call to action are going to be, we ask that you complete your membership form. And that's the link right there. Emiliano's going to be dropping that into the chat. And we ask that you complete that today. Get that membership application off, get it out there, get it done. And the reason why is because the more members that IJ Action is able to add into our roles, is able to build a community with, is able to build unity with, is the more collective voices that the legislatures will be happy to listen to. It's the more people that our lawmakers know that they have to listen to and they don't have a choice, or else we'll remove them. So let's get that membership application in. As Taina mentioned earlier, if you don't have capacity to contribute financially at this point in time, that's fine. Submit that application anyway and mark the $0 option. If you do have financial capacity and you want to contribute it, that's fine. Submit the application, tap the link, and submit whatever donation you can. If you want to fill out the application now and you don't have capacity now, but you decide that you may have it in the future, then you can do it later on down the line if that's what you want to do. It's us and it's this community moving forward. And also, to our second ask is that you follow us on socials. We know y'all got the Facebook, we know y'all got the Instagram, we know y'all got the Twitter, the TikTok, and all that. I said it wrong on purpose, so don't give me too much flack. But we ask that y'all follow us. Follow us, because the more that we build this platform, the more that we build this membership of voters, the more that they know that they have to respect us, and they're not happy. If we do the math, we see that there are 55,000 people on parole in California, roughly. So you multiply 55,000 by, one family member, multiply it by 2 family members, and you multiply the number of people in prison, and we see what this membership is able to grow to. We see that if we lay the foundation, how many people will get in line and follow and be a part of what we're building to power build with a community-based inside-outside approach. This inside-outside approach here at IJ Action will be the same type of approach that Initiate Justice, the same type of approach that has worked, the same type of approach that has been groundbreaking and which nobody's ever been to replicate. So let's get those 2 things off tonight if we could. Let's get that membership application in. Let's follow on socials. Also, too, my third ask is that y'all share y'all experience. If you believe in IJA, what we're doing, what we're building too, share that on socials and get as many people who are impacted to follow and to be a part of it, to get their membership application off. And if they're just allies and they want to be a part of what we're doing, that's fine. Anyone who's willing to practice intersectionality, be a part of this progressive movement, they can be here and do what we're doing. So that's our ask for today. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to Taina. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jay. And I did see a question in the chat from Megan, which was asking, if I can't make a time commitment but want to contribute and come to meetings when I can, is that possible? Absolutely, yes. And that's why we have 2 tiers of our membership. So an active member is someone, who donates, pays their membership dues and comes to things. And for someone who's not in the position to make a time commitment, that's fine. You can still contribute and you'll be considered a supportive member. And you can get in where you fit in and show up whenever you have the time and the capacity to do so. Since we do have a little bit of time, I actually want to take a minute and walk through the membership application. So I know some of y'all are already clicking on it. If you're having an issue, get into it, let us know, and Emiliano will fix it for you. He's our data manager. So for the membership form, we're just asking for some basic information: first name, last name, your pronouns, so we can put some respect on your name, some contact info like phone number, address, city, state. Mostly we want to know where you are specifically for elections and things like that. So if there's any races in particular that we need to tap folks into, then we'll know where you are. We also want to know who your legislators are for that reason as well. So when you fill out the application, please click the links here and put your address so that you can locate your state assembly member and your state senator. And active members will also be getting an IJ Action t-shirt. So we would like to know your t-shirt size. Another reason we'll need your address so we can send that to you. And what committees you're interested in. I believe you can select more than one. Is that right, Emiliano? Am I lying? We'll figure it out. You're muted, Emiliano.
I think so, but if not, I will go.
Okay, great. Yeah, so any committees that you're interested in, let us know. We'll make sure that you get updates on that committee. And then here is the link where you can donate. So this is the final step where you would pay your membership dues. So if you're going to contribute, click I am able to contribute, and then click on the link here. This will take you to Act Blue, and this is where you'll make your contribution. If you're not able to contribute at this time, that's fine. Just click I'm unable to contribute, but still want to be a member. So we'll know not to look for your donation in the Act Blue. But like we said, if you're not able to contribute at this time, that is totally fine and will not in any way prevent you from
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Sorry, GTL is not trying to let me be great. But yes, this is the application. So I just wanted to take a second and show that to you all. And I was not paying attention to the chat. Emiliano, were there any questions that came up that I should be aware of?
Yes, I got one from Maria. Yes, so Maria's question was, is there a separate link after membership when someone just wants to contribute? And the answer to that is yes, there is. There is a membership link, which is the one that's attached to the membership application. And there's also a separate Act Blue link if you just want to donate and just contribute. It's the one that's on our site. It's the one that's in our link tree. And if you have questions about that, you can email info at the letter I, the letter J, the word action.org. Or you can email me, j@ijaction.org. And we'll be happy to get that to you. And also, too, real quickly, I would like to address, I know some people may have some questions about Act Blue because we know that there's been a lot of misinformation about that. And what Act Blue is just a third-party organization that handles donations for organizations, for people. It's basically like a GoFundMe. And so what they do is they handle donations. So it keeps the cost down for an organization to have to hire bookkeepers, to have to hire lawyers, to have to hire all these people who would basically take on that cost. So just a little bit of, fighting against misinformation real quick. So you guys can be comfortable. Sorry, you all can be comfortable with using Act Blue for your donation because that's the venue that we use. And it's not affiliated with any, particular candidates or anything else like that. So.
Yeah, and one more thing about Act Blue is that it's specifically for like political fundraising. So money that comes through Act Blue, like it's tracked to make sure that everything is compliant and we're not breaking any rules. So most of the time political candidates will raise their money through Act Blue. When we did our Prop 17 ballot committee, we raised our funds through Act Blue. So it's like a secure, legit way to raise political action funds.
I see your question, Andrea Sandoval. Her question was, how do we know if we sign up before or do we have to sign up every year? So the answer to that question is once you're a member with IJ Action, you're a member you're a member. What we would ask you to do is to, pay your annual membership dues and donation. I don't think that entails a new application unless maybe some of your information changes. But you could do that, or you could just email, myself. I'm in charge of membership, and that will be j@IJ Action. Or you can, if you're in question or doubt, you can email info@IJ Action, and we'll get you taken care of.
And I'm not sure if this was your question, Andrea, but I think there was like a similar question earlier where someone was asking, did I fill this application out already? The answer is no. This is the first time that we are putting it out anywhere. So y'all are the first people to see it. So you have not filled it out yet. So you can go ahead and fill it out. And then moving forward, we'll make sure that we'll be touching base with folks when it comes time to renew your annual membership moving forward. And I see another question here from Sandy. Hey, Sandy, welcome. Approximate time commitment for active members. So what we ask active members to do is to show up to 2 meetings a month. So that's this meeting, the general meeting. You know, this meeting this time was like our first meeting, so it was more like introductory. But moving forward, our general meetings will be updates in terms of like what campaigns we're working on, and you know what the committees are working on, and how people can stay plugged in. And then the second meeting will actually be like a committee meeting. So if you join membership and outreach, or if you join communications and fundraising, there will be one of those meetings per month as well. You are allowed to miss up to 3 meetings for each, for committee and general meetings per year, to still be considered an active member. And then we also just generally ask, you know, that you actively participate. So let's say, you know, for example, you're part of the communications and fundraising committee. We'll just ask that, you know, you do the things the committee is working on. If your committee decides this month, okay, we're doing a social media campaign to spread awareness about our voter guide, we ask that you share it or send an email, or, you know, just do something to be involved. So it's not going to be like so strictly tracked. And I'm not sure that I can necessarily say like if there's like a certain amount of hours. Basically, we're just like, you know, show up, support the work. Oh, and Jamie, Jay, there's a great question here from Jamie about intersectionality.
So with regards to Jamie's question, his question was, can you kindly break down the term intersectionality? I'm not certain of that meaning, thanks. So intersectionality is the acknowledgement that everyone has their own unique experiences of discrimination and oppression. We must consider everything that anyone can experience or have been through: their gender, race, class, sexual orientation, and or physical ability. So basically what intersectionality is it's a way of respecting everyone and understanding that we use people-centered language, and that we're all have our own unique experiences. But we will, with the new member packet, be issuing some abolitionist resources. I guess intersectionality will definitely be in there, as well as if you have any further questions about intersectionality, you can email me, Jay at IJ Action, and I'll get you some resources to answer those questions. Thank you.
And one other thing that I want to add about membership, I know Jay mentioned it, but just to reiterate, so today, or you know, whenever in the near future, if you sign up to become a member, you complete the application and complete the donation, or you know, select that you're not able to donate at this time, Jay is going to be following up with you to invite you to the new member orientation, which is next week. So it'll be the same time, Tuesday at 6:30, and we want to go into like further detail in terms of like what it means to represent and initiate justice action, what our values are, like what abolitionist principles we uphold, what intersectionality looks like to us. We definitely don't want anybody coming into membership and being like, I'm a member of this thing and I don't know what that means. So we're going to have an orientation next week. And again, those will happen every month. So if you sign up, or if anybody signs up for membership after the new member orientation this time, then they'll be invited to the next new member orientation. So this is something that'll be ongoing. General meeting will be the first Tuesday, new member orientation will be the second Tuesday of every month. And yes, MJ, there was a slide with the regular meetings. I can, I can go back to it, but why not? Let's just look at Jay's adorable daughter instead. Yes.
That is the Jalen Jewel right there. That's our youngest organizer so far. You know, she's been on some voter registration events and campaigns. So, you know, everyone can be involved.
But yes, general meetings, first Tuesday of the month at 6:30, new member orientations, second Tuesday of the month at 6:30. And we have not scheduled PAC committees or communications and fundraising committees yet, but membership and outreach committee will be third Tuesdays of the month. Are there any other questions? Folks can feel free to drop them in the chat as we wrap up. Thank you, Daisy. So the question is, will active committees be meeting this month? No, we wanted to launch at least a membership committee this month, but we realized it was just way too much for us to do our first general meeting and the first new member orientation and the first committee meeting in the same month. So membership and outreach is going to be launching in May. So the third Tuesday in May, whatever day that is, will be the first time that the membership and outreach committee will be taking place. Jay and Emiliano, I think there's a question here for you too from Lee. How did you all get to be so great?
Well, if I'm being honest, which I try to be, you know, especially in my new life, I would definitely say that I took some cues from the greats, Daisy, Antoinette, Lee Gibson, and Adam Kane, and of course, Taina. And that's not to discount any of the other great IJ staff, but you all are definitely my inspiration. So I'm just trying to match energy. This is the first time for me, you know, so for those of you who don't know, so eventually, you know, we'll get better. But we appreciate, you know, everyone who showed up, and thanks for the wonderful comments.
Yeah, so I stand on the shoulders of giants. So I just, you know, I give it up to all my folks and my ancestors, of course. But I see a question here. Yeah, we have the application, our link tree on our social media. So just like and follow us. So you can, everything that we're talking about out here and everything that's in development, you know, it's going to be posted on all of our socials. We'll update the website as we start building out the organization. And then if you need anything else, if you have any questions, don't forget just to email us at info@IJAction. If you send a DM to one of the socials, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Emiliano. Are there any more questions before I close this out? Okay, cool. Yes, thank you, Megan, for the donations. I'm already seeing the notifications come up for people who are following us on social media. Thank you all so very much. So just to wrap us up, I just want to reiterate how important this work is and how unique it is. The IJ Action Board of Directors has been meeting and like planning and putting a lot of this infrastructure together for the last like 7-8 months. And in the process, you know, I've been having meetings with like donors and consultants and things like that to, you know, make sure we have money to make this operation work and all those things. And what every single person has told me is there's not another organization like this in California. There's not a 501c4 organization working towards progressive justice reform, working towards abolition, especially, that is led by people of color, that is led by people who are system impacted. We're up against like a structural problem where people who are, you know, system impacted are intentionally marginalized. They don't want us to know how this process works. That's why there's these different tax codes, and we got to talk to lawyers and consultants and campaign managers and everything like that. It's not easy to figure all this stuff out because they don't want us to know. So what we're doing is special. All of you being here is very special. And I feel very strongly like that we do have the ability to shift the tide in California. Most of these legislators know that what they're doing is not right, but they don't have enough people holding them accountable. And they feel like they don't really need to listen to us. Like you know, I'm not trying to like discount anything we do on the C3, the advocacy, the grassroots power building, like all of that shit is amazing. And we've passed so many good policies that way. But we also need to take it a step further and let these people know they can't get in office and they can't stay in office if they don't have our sign off. So with that being said,
if I could,
preach it.
I appreciate you. You're the best hype man. I see you there in the corner. Thank you, Chris.
Come on here.
y'all here. But yeah, I just wanted to say also to add to that, the thing is, for so long, impacted people have been used as pawns. If you think about 3 strikes, if you think about, felony murder rule. If you think about so many oppressive and racially charged laws that's been passed, is because marginalized people have been used as pawns. And right now we're in a unique position where we're trailblazers, like someone put in the chat. We're setting a unique foundation to be laid here, to power build, to flex our political power, to flex our vote, to tell chairs of committees that, hey, if you keep lining through all of this retroactivity in these bills, then we're not going to support you. We're going to support whoever's running against you. We're gonna and if the chair has a problem with that, then that's fine. So the opposition is really big mad right now, but we're gonna keep building. And the important thing for everyone to know on this call and everyone who watches this recording and going forward is that every time you see a person who has a record, who's been incarcerated, who's been to juvenile hall, who's been to LP, who's been to camp, who's been on probation, who's been affected, who's been marginalized, who's had a loved one incarcerated, that's a person right there with potential to be a part of this movement, or someone who just realizes like, hey, critically thinking is wrong and I want to solve it. That's a person with potential to be a member, to be an ally, and a place where we can grow and leverage the voting power that we have. We already know that voting works. We've seen it with the IJ outline, and we're not trying to change the work that's been done at IJ or undo the amazing work that IJ has done, as Taina mentioned. We're building off of that, and we're building something else which legally defines us to do more and to go harder. And our opposition hates it, but we're coming. So with that being said, I'll pass it to Taina. I don't know if we're going to take questions or wrap it up, but thank y'all so much for being on this call. And we ask that y'all fill out those membership applications or get on that email list, and let's go. Let's do it.
Yes, no, thank you so much, Jay. Thank you, Emiliano. Thank you, Roberto, Amy, other board members, IJ staff who have been here to support us, and all of you all who have contributed. So just thank you. Look forward to working with you. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you at the new member orientation next week. Yeah, thank you. I really believe that we're gonna do a lot to change the political dynamics in California. So hope that you all have a great night and see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Nighty night.